The remaining time you still have, you can pass it on to your colleagues.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Birthright Arefaine. I'm from Tigray, immigrated to Canada in 2009 and became a Canadian citizen in 2015. First, I would like to thank you, the committee, for giving me the chance. On early November 2020, when the war broke out on Tigray, towns had been targeted with heavy shelling, and my brother, Mauratu, left the town with his two young girls and his pregnant wife to her aunt in the nearby village. Weeks later, they ran out of food, and he came back home on December 10th to grab some food and clothes, but never made it back to his children. He was taken the next morning by Eritrean soldiers with 4 other men from the neighborhood. Days passed, but no one returned home. And the Eritrean soldiers refused to answer questions about their whereabouts. Then the family decided to go by foot to Axum, 20 kilometers, to ask the Ethiopian general to help them locate the missing men. The Ethiopian general sent 2 Ethiopian soldiers to escort the families back to Oromarai. The Ethiopian soldiers, the Eritrean, that they had the orders from the Ethiopian general. Then the Eritreans agreed and took them to the mountains outside of the city, showed them the dead bodies of all 5 men. And my brother was one of them. They were found with their hands tied and behind their back, and their legs were bound. All had been shot, and rocks had been placed on their heads. They were buried 8 days later. My uncle, Tamrat, the most loved person by our family and very popular for his kindness, was one of the over 800 civilians who were killed by Eritrean soldiers on the streets of Axum on November 28 and 29, 2020. Days later, one of our family members found him on the street. He was buried 3 days later. He left 2 young girls behind. Similar, my cousin Yirga was a teacher in the town of Shira. Neighbors told my aunt he was shot by Eritrean sniper at his doorstep when they arrived at town. My other cousin, who grew up with me in the same house, was a teacher and a farmer in my Kadra, escaped the very first massacre, but his house and business burned down. Haramish and Fano Bayam Haraflish and Fano Vigilante. Thank God he's alive. He took his wife and 2 boys to share. They had nothing other than the clothes on their back, and they couldn't travel to my family in Axum because they had no money for transport, and he had to leave them back, and he had to travel on top of a minibus for free and borrow money from my mom, had to come back and grab his family back to Axum. So thank you for listening.